Digimon Ghost Game continues to build both the lore and the world of this brand new spooky season. And I'm back once again to break down 10 details you might have missed in Digimon Ghost Game Episode 2.
It's come, Spooktober Spectacular 2!
Some nice friends you got there, YouTube. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Quick thing I want to say, this video isn't sponsored, but my last Ghost Game video was sponsored. And if you check out the link in the description, me and the sponsor for the last video are giving away a Digivice V. There is 1 week left to enter the competition. It's a Gleam giveaway, so there's a bunch of different ways that you can get entries, plus there are daily entries. So check that link again. This video is not sponsored, but the giveaway is still live. So I just wanted to say, we're giving away a Digivice V. You've got 1 week left to enter, so get on it. Well, this episode once again was suitably spooky, good looking, and heartwarming. That little Gammamon cry in the supermarket legitimately almost made me cry. As well as the main plot of the episode focused on a misguided Mummymon motivated by medicine. Sorry, I can't resist alliteration. But just like last time, the episode was filled with missable details, and that is our focus for these videos. So without further ado, and with full spoilers for Digimon Ghost Game Episode 1, 2, and possibly the future, who knows, let's start with our 10th missable detail. And our first missable detail is when we first go to the museum, and that is that the museum is called the New National Ueno General Museum. This is based on the National Museum of Nature and Science, which is in the real location of Ueno, a district in Tokyo's Taito ward, which is also the setting for this season. Though interestingly, the architecture is not the same as the real National Museum, and is unlike any museum I can find in Tokyo via Google. If you know if this is based on a real building, please do let me know in the comments down below. And our next detail is that Hiro carries Gammamon around in a backpack. For situations like in the store when the clerk notices Gammamon and Hiro can pass him off as a hologram ghost, just an advanced hologram ghost, because Gammamon is fully visible to the general public, unlike certain other Digimon that we might see. We have already seen Gammamon in Hiro's backpack in the OP, but we have also seen it in Digimon Dreamers, a currently running manga also created by Tenya Yabano, the artist behind V-Tamer, and the character designs of this season, as well as the art for the ED for Ghost Game. Not a missable detail, just a theory, another tinfoil hat if you will, but I am curious to see whether the protagonist from Digimon Dreamers or a version of him and his partner Pulsemon might in turn show up in Digimon Ghost Game. Following on from that, in said store, Hiro picks up a copy of Ghost Monthly, which covers the current Mummymon mystery. But the missable detail here isn't just on Ghost Monthly, but all the magazines in the rack. Because thanks to them, we have confirmation that not only does this season air in October, but takes place in October, as every magazine is adorned with Jugatsu, or October. Although oftentimes magazines and manga release the month before their release month, so for example, the October issue might release in September, so it's very possible that this season actually starts taking place at the end of September. September-October is what I'm getting at here. Our next missable detail is a very quick one, but as I noticed last time, Gammamon once again made reference to going kaboom, or bakahatsu in Japanese, which, as he said 2 for 2 episodes now, I believe is going to be his own little catchphrase. And next is kind of a biggie. When we go back to the museum at night to see Mummymon Ghost emerge, one of the fossils on display is straight up Agumon. That is an Agumon bust. Now obviously this is a fun reference, but it's also kind of funny. Feels a bit like Ghost Game giving a bit of a jab that adventure is a fossil and maybe should be left in the past or put in a museum.
It belongs in a museum!
But maybe that's just me reading too much into this. I will accept Taichi randomly showing up in this season like he did throughout Adventure 2020 if he is a caveman. Only if he is a caveman. Next up, when we see Ruli's social media post of her and her friends at the museum, the three of them are throwing up V's or peace signs, which is a very common thing to do in photographs, especially in Japan. But notice it's a trio of V's, just like the Valkner on the Digivice V. But unlike the Valkner, these three girls are not joined up. They are separate, slightly out of sync. This perhaps foreshadowing that Ruli's true trio of friends is her Digi-destined group of Hiro, Kiyoshiro, and herself. A trio of perfect interlocking synergy, united through Digimon. The next detail is Gammamon revealing a very handy ability, and that is the ability to kind of see through the matrix and hack into technology. In this case, specifically the lock of the museum. This to me indicates the nature of Digimon in this season. Much like in Digimon Tamers, they are beings of data, but are given flesh bodies through the technology of the Digivice V and the bonds with humans. So they exist as both technology and biology, and this is cemented in our next detail. The evolution sequence. Yes, in a pinch against Mummymon, Hiro and Gammamon's bond ignites over their caring for each other, but also their sharing of food, and Gammamon digivolves to his first champion form, Beetle Gammamon. Beetle Gammamon? Beetle Gammamon? We'll get there. But the missable details here are during the evolution sequence. First of all, when the VP line meets, it separates into chromatic aberration and many colors, not just RGB, but a spectrum. And then when Gammamon actually digivolves in the forefront, we see tons of DNA double helixes, but in the background are still strings of data. Once again demonstrating that Gammamon and Angoramon, Jellymon, and potentially many others are a melding of both data and a physical biological body, a meeting in the middle of the human and digital worlds. He is then struck specifically by a red double helix to match Beetle Gammamon, and a symbol flashes on the screen briefly. This is the symbol unique to Gammamon and or Hiro, unlike the Valkner, which applies to all three of them, as we see in the Digivice V promo video that Angoramon and Jellymon have their own symbols too. And another small penultimate detail is food is a big theme of this episode, so you might be forgiven for thinking that Gammamon is just hungry all the time, but no, much like many partners before him, including Agumon, Vmon, and Guilmon, after battle, after Digivolution, when he has digivolved back to a basic form, Gammamon is super hungry, and I love this. It's a lovely send-up. I like that they are taking these elements from like a little bit from Adventure, a little bit from Zero Two, a little bit from Tamers, but presenting it in a new, fresh way with that spooky Gege no Kitaro vibe. And our final detail is in Hiro discovering that Ruli is accompanied by Angoramon, potentially has been since the season started. The reason this is a missable detail though is not that Angoramon is there, that's plain to see, but that everyone around him and seemingly Ruli do not notice him. He looks like a hologram ghost like Clockmon, Mummymon, and Chumon who appeared in this episode. Though it does seem a certain level of bioemerging can occur. Clockmon was definitely visible, Mummymon is both visible and captured on camera, but it seems that only Hiro saw the Chumon this episode. So something seems to trigger these hologram ghosts being more visible, whether it's more power, more desire, whatever it may be. But Angoramon is a large boy, and if a shopkeeper notices Gammamon, people on the street would surely notice Angoramon too, but he is invisible to everyone but Hiro, because Hiro possesses the Digivice V. And that's because in episode 1, we see that Hokuto left Hiro 3 Digivice Vs and 3 sets of dim cards, Gammamon, Angoramon, and Jellymon, to give to the right candidates. I cannot wait for next episode where Ruli, the ghost and mystery obsessed girl, finally, potentially, gets to see the Digimon, the hologram ghost that has been following her this entire time, and is her very own Digimon partner. That's the stuff that makes these shows worth watching. Well, that's my list of 10 missable details from Digimon Ghost Game Episode 2, but very quickly I wanted to read off some comments that you noticed as missable details from Episode 1 of Digimon Ghost Game. First up, pointed out initially by Shui, but also Konbini Boy and a couple of others. Just to add to the Black Gatomon, in Japan there is a very well-known delivery company called Yamato Transport that has a black cat carrying a kitten as their logo. People call this company Kuroneko, and it's just something that everyone in Japan knows. Not something that I had noticed, but something that definitely makes sense, and this is why I love hearing back from you guys, because we get to combine our efforts and spot all of these missable details. Next is a comment from Orderly Summit, but a bunch of other people did talk about this, and that is that they said, I've yet to see anyone mention the scar on Hiro's ear. And yeah, I hadn't really thought about this. I'd seen something on his kind of earlobe, but just thought it was like an animation quirk, but it very much definitely is only on one earlobe. So it could be a scar, it could be from something we don't know. They've not mentioned it yet, really. It very much much could just be kind of like a quirk of the character design that he had like a pierced ear at some point or whatever. I don't know, but it's something worth keeping an eye on, and it is definitely a missable detail. And finally, we have a comment from Digital X Addict, and a couple of other people did mention this too, on the use of 7G. I rather think, as the series is connected to Ghost, it's connected to the 7 School Mysteries, a urban legend in Japan. Number 1, the Clock Keepers, Clockmon obviously. Number 2, the Masaki Stairs. Number 3, the Hell of Mirrors. Number 4, Shijima-san of the Art Room. The 4 PM Book Stacks, God of Death, and Hanako-san of the Toilet. So yeah, this is another thing that I just wasn't aware of. It makes a ton of sense. I think people seem to want to find one common source for things, but oftentimes, especially in Digimon, there are multiple reasons, etymologies, etc. for a thing. So while I think 7G definitely does come from luck and things like that, the 7 School Mysteries also makes a ton of sense, and it will be nice to see, maybe in 7 episodes or further on, if we can definitively match each of the 7 mysteries and beyond to a Digimon episode. Well, thank you so much for your comments and missable details from episode 1, and if you have a missable detail that you noticed in Digimon Ghost Game episode 2, let me know in the comments down below, and I might read out your comment on the episode 3 video. I only do 10 in these videos to keep it concise, because the videos could run for hours if we talked about every single detail, so I always love hearing from you guys, and I really want to use this platform to feature you guys' ideas and kind of shout you out a little bit in return for all the love you show me. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and let's thank some channel members. The Sovereign Knight 12, thank you so much, Knight. I do dearly appreciate your sovereign status. You were a real one. Always fun talking with you on the Discord about Digimon stuff. Thank you so much for being a sovereign, dude. I do appreciate it. Let me know a message for the next Ghost Game video, and I will read it out. The wonderful Digidestined, Metallic Pool, Andrew Sobel, Anthony Bontomasi, Reese Williams, Sad Uncle Callum, and Crimson Dragon Slayer. Digidestined, you are amazing. Thank you. And the Tamers, Car Ghosty, The Blessed Rain, Sam Mallow, Errant Harpy, Emily, Mike McNulty, and Theo Navarro. Thank you so much, Tamers. And to everyone in the Karn Club, thank you so much for becoming a member, getting those early access videos, and supporting the channel. And I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.